In this presentation, we'll discuss VoIP and its applications in your business. Let's dive right in. VoIP is an acronym that stands for Voice over Internet Protocol. This new telecommunications technology allows you to make a phone call over a broadband internet connection, rather than through traditional or analog phone lines. Why is this so great? Well, instead of having to use a traditional cell or landline carrier, calls can now be made with only an internet connection. This means that individuals and businesses can bypass telephone companies and their charges, which is beneficial because VoIP services are usually cheaper and can bring improved functionality. Because of the cost and technology implications, VoIP has a huge potential impact on businesses everywhere, not to mention on the telecommunications industry as a whole. When you speak into a traditional telephone, your voice or acoustic energy is converted into electrical energy or analog signals by the equipment inside the telephone. This electrical energy is then transmitted through the telephone wire to the speaker on the other end of the line. The speaker then transfers the electrical energy back into acoustic energy that can be understood by the other caller. VoIP services, however, transfer your analog voice signals into digital data, the ones and zeros of the computer world, that can then be transmitted over the internet. There are three main methods of setting up VoIP. First, there is VoIP using ATA, or Analog Terminal Adapter, which is a device that connects a typical analog phone to an internet connection, then converts the analog information into digital data for transmission. Secondly, you can use VoIP with an IP-enabled phone. These phones have the equipment required to convert analog signals to digital data built right into them. No ATA is required. An Ethernet port is also built right into the phone. The third option is connecting directly. This is done by connecting using your computer with either a software loaded on the computer or via a web-based software. You use this to connect to a VoIP service. VoIP's applications are widespread. Anyone with a broadband connection can use VoIP instead of a traditional phone line, and VoIP can even be used at business call centers. More information about the technical aspects of VoIP, for those who may be curious and want to dive a little bit deeper, can be found by clicking the link below. Delivery of VoIP. You'll need to select a VoIP service provider in order to make calls over the internet, unless you want to connect directly, which is an option that comes with its own risks and complexities. VoIP providers vary in their methodology, hardware, and pricing structure. Some have basic hardware requirements such as ATAs or company-specific IP-enabled phones. Some charge a flat monthly fee for their service, while others charge by the minute. In addition, there is also some basic phone number portability at this time. The type of provider a business or individual chooses will depend on their expected use of the service. A business that plans to use the service to replace its 100-line call center would naturally choose a different plan than an individual replacing their own personal landline. Unlike the traditional telephone industry, the number of VoIP service providers is great and continues to grow. This can make deciding on the right provider for you a difficult choice. Some of the most popular providers and their rate structures and technical requirements are shown on this table. Foundations of VoIP. The first essential component of VoIP is the telephone. It was developed in the 1870s by Alexander Graham Bell and used to be originally issued in pairs. The invention of the Strauger switch made things simpler and allowed for a line to be connected to any of 100 other lines by using relays and sliders. As technology developed with the introduction of the transistors and binary code, the digital age became a reality. AT&T capitalized on this technology by inventing touch-tone dialing in 1963. This allowed for calls to be switched digitally, paving the way for new designs and innovative functions of the telephone. The second essential component for VoIP's existence is the Internet. The original purpose of the Internet was to establish a communication network that would not be disrupted by a global war. An essential piece of technology regarding the Internet is the process by which data can be communicated. This is extremely relevant for VoIP to be operational. The protocol for this process is called Transmission Control Protocol/Internet Protocol, or TCP/IP. Essentially, this describes how information in the form of data packets travels to their final destination. With the case of VoIP, it converts the voice signal to a digital signal that travels over the internet. VoIP was first invented by a company called Vocaltech in 1995. This is when they first made it possible for two users to communicate with each other through their computers. This sparked the beginning of the internet phone communication and would soon grow in popularity. The original version of internet phone required specific software to be loaded by the users of the product. In order to simplify this process and make it easier to roll out, many companies began introducing VoIP switching software in their routing equipment. Some popular examples of VoIP technology include Skype and Vonage. Other major players were cable companies, and their ability to offer the technology in package deals made it more attractive for consumers to acquire. Adoption of VoIP. As commercialization of VoIP hit the market in 2004, the use and adoption of the technology has been an upward rise. For consumers, much lower cost or even free services are important drivers for VoIP use. At the end of 2004, the US market had a total of about 1.5 million subscribers. By the third quarter of 2007, the US market had about 13 million subscribers, and revenues were roughly $1.3 billion for the same time frame. As a comparison, Europe's market drew almost 16 million subscribers and generated about $700 million in the fourth quarter of 2006. The majority of the service was provided by cable companies, but also included ESPs, or expert service providers, such as Vonage. By looking at these two examples, it is clear that voice momentum has been very strong, and it's on its path for continued growth well into the future. It is necessary to point out that retail consumer market isn't the only driver of VoIP use and adoption. Businesses of all types of industries have invested in the technology to take advantage of lower cost and better quality of service. Pros and cons of VoIP technology as a substitute for traditional phone lines. Pros: cost savings. This is the primary reason VoIP is growing. VoIP takes the place of traditional phone services and can link offices in different geographic locations across the world. Collaboration and data sharing. VoIP uses a computer to enable the access of information. Collaboration is increased due to the ease of transferring data between group members. Portability. A VoIP phone has an address built into it that is unique to the phone. This enables its use from any location with an internet connection. Options. Many providers are available when choosing VoIP software, and many are free. Cons. Video and audio quality. Quality becomes an issue in certain circumstances. VoIP sends files by breaking information into a series of packets. These are transmitted in a sequential order. They may arrive at their destination in order or out of order. Normally, the recipient can use the sequence numbers to figure out the order the package go in. Then, it will reassemble the data. Compatibility. Some VoIP systems are proprietary and will only allow calls to others who are using the same software. Availability and reliability. Internet connection and external power are necessary to use VoIP technology, and therefore its availability is restricted. VoIP is only as reliable as your internet connection. If you lose signal, you will lose your call. Emergency calls. Emergency call centers use phone numbers to locate the caller. This is not possible using the current VoIP technology. Experimental software is allowing 911 calls to be routed to the proper dispatcher. Business uses of VoIP. Localize your workforce. Everyone being tied into the same phone network allows for instant and seamless connections regardless of location. VoIP devices can be set up anywhere there is an internet connection and can be moved around depending on business needs. Employees can work from anywhere and have their phones connected as though they're sitting at their desk. The ability of VoIP devices to interact with each other from anywhere gives employees the ability to call a meeting with counterparts across the globe and accommodate larger scale conference calls. Lower your costs. Prices have dropped drastically as the technology has matured and competition increased. Service fees are often fixed and usage is unlimited as the system does not require additional connections or service levels. VoIP runs on existing data networks that have a connection to the internet. For the most part, broadband connections are adequate to support a VoIP system, and data networks see minimal interference from running a VoIP system. The portability of VoIP devices allows employees to move around and reconnect their existing phone anywhere there is an internet connection. VoIP systems also allow for a laptop to be turned into a mobile phone. A soft phone can be added to a laptop to give it the ability to dial a call, while using a microphone functionality of the laptop for voice transmissions. Streamline your operation. VoIP offers the ability to transcribe voice messages into email or text messages that can be sent to the employee when received. Customer calls can be transferred to other locations and employees with the push of a button, rather than requiring that the customer call back at another number to reach the person they needed. Customers can call a support number and have multiple phones ring with the call. These devices can be located all over the world and can be phones, cell phones, or laptops that are ringing with the call. Conferences can be called with employees across the globe at a moment's notice, which allows for greater effectiveness of meetings and for more face-to-face time with the employees without the travel costs. Future uses of VoIP. Primary phone system. VoIP offers instant connections to anywhere on the globe where an internet connection exists. As competition increases, adoption rates increase, and the technology becomes more mature and reliable. As infrastructure has developed and revenue streams have matured, cable and DSL providers are competing with fiber networks, and the cost of all the options have declined, and providers compete to leverage their infrastructure investments. This gives companies the opportunity to use the system as much as they need and set it up to do almost anything they want. VoIP offers value that traditional phone systems cannot. Remote connectivity. Phone handsets can be plugged into any internet connection, immediately transferring the number to the location of the phone. Soft phones can be installed on any device, and this allows for the phone to become fully mobile. Availability of Wi-Fi in office buildings, cafes, restaurants, airports, and over-the-air cellular allows for VoIP to be available almost anywhere. Messaging. Leveraging existing data networks for VoIP allows for data to be packaged with voice. Information can be shared in tandem with a conversation to keep the information free-flowing. Many companies utilize instant messaging as a means for quick discussions. With VoIP, instant messaging could come with a direct link to a conversation, so that a discussion that becomes larger than instant messaging can quickly transition to voice or video for greater sharing information. VoIP allows for voice or video transmissions to come across via the network, and therefore they can be archived as data would be. VoIP offers the ability to pull employees from around the world into a conversation seamlessly, while also allowing for the transmission of data and video. Now that we've discussed VoIP, tell us about you and your experiences. What about your firm? How does your business use VoIP technologies to achieve a competitive advantage? If they don't use it, how could your firm implement this technology in the future? Have you ever used VoIP personally? If so, do you have any experience or thoughts you'd like to share? And lastly, what do you think are the biggest and most earth-shaking implications of this technology in your industry or in the economy overall? Thank you very much for watching our presentation. We look forward to your questions and comments.